Hey guys, welcome to Shenke Garage. So in this episode, going to respray the tonner. So I got a very special guest onto the channel. So Mark, welcome Mark to the channel. So Mark's from Bog Dust For Breakfast. He's got his own YouTube channel and also works for DNA Paint. Obviously, yeah, DNA is the brand that I'm using for paint. Mark reached out to me the first time when I got it resprayed, so he was happy to collab and come and help me to respray this tonner. So yeah, welcome Mark to the channel.
Thanks guys, and yeah, thanks Sam. So yeah, we've got a fair bit of work ahead of us, you know. Yeah, the utes got a few little things on it that needs addressing, and yeah, we're gonna give it a fresh new respray this weekend. So yeah, can't wait.
So yeah, Easter weekend. So we'll basically be working over Easter weekend while everyone else is enjoying the Easter holidays. So yeah, we better get stuck into it.
Let's go.
In this episode of the HX1 tonner build, going to get the tonner resprayed for the second time. So if you weren't aware, I just wasn't happy with the finish of the paint the first time it was sprayed. So I just made the call and we're going to fix a few things up and respray it and get it to the quality that I was after. Just to recap, in the last episode, got all the chassis smoothed off and repainted in the black, and really happy with how that's turned out. And as you can see, since then, I've just been doing a little bit of work here at the back of the cab. I just wasn't happy with the finish of the back. It was a little bit rough. I sort of rushed it, and I just thought I'd spend a little bit of time getting all that nice and tidy. There was a few little dings and stuff in this section here, so I've tidied all that up, and yeah, just sort of smoothed off the back a little bit, and I've just sprayed a little bit of high build as well. So yeah, all that needs to be rubbed back. Just another thing that I've done, I've just smoothed off the bottom of the door sills. So I don't know if you can see that, but I've just used a bit of filler underneath and got all that nice and smooth. I didn't really bother underneath there getting them seals all nice and smooth. So yeah, I've just smoothed all that off and just sprayed a bit of the high build. I've also been doing a little bit of rework underneath this bonnet. I just wasn't quite happy with underneath here, so now was the time to fix it. There was a few holes where I'd screwed the reverse cowl to the bonnet, so there's like 2 holes here and there, and there. So I've filled them in, and I've just used a bit of filler, just these sections here, just to sort of smooth that off a little bit as well. And any sort of repair work that I've done, I've just gone over with the high build and I've just rubbed all that back. So it's pretty much all ready to respray the base and the clear again. And yeah, I've just got a fresh supply of paint from DNA. So just go on the yellow Vortex again, the candy base coat. And just the clear, I'm going custom clear. I previously went the diamond clear, but Mark from DNA recommended using the custom clear. So yeah, taking his recommendation and using the custom clear this time. So it's all pretty much ready to start rubbing all back and getting it all ready to respray. I just got to go pick up Mark from the airport. So he's flying in from Melbourne. So I'll go pick him up from the airport and we'll get stuck into it. All right guys, just went and picked Mark up from the airport, so we're just getting straight into it. It is the Easter long weekend, so we've only got 4 days to get this thing painted, so yeah, just got to smash it out. So we just started sanding it back and getting rid of the banana lines. So I've mentioned it in previous videos, these banana lines, which you can see on this other side here. See how there's kind of like 2 lines there, and I think what that's from is just marking it, marking the stencil on and blocking it in, and then I put it on the second time after re-priming it, and it probably hasn't been exactly in the same spot, and it's sort of just put the 2 lines there. So yeah, we're going to fix that up, and as we were sort of rubbing back, we did find a few little bubbles in the paint. Now, unfortunately, that was rust, so we've gone back in a couple areas just here, so it was bubbling here, so we've sanded that back and we found rust there, and a couple of little spots here as well on the guard and just on this door. So we've gone over the whole lot and just inspected for any sort of bubbling or anything, and really the only spots we could find was just on this guard and this door. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass because it's kind of, if it's come up here, it could potentially come up in other areas. So we sort of just talked about some options. Do we just keep continuing on and risk it, and hopefully it's only in them areas and we won't get any more come up anywhere else? But yeah, it is a bit of a risk. So I've just decided that what I'm going to do is, yeah, just fix them little areas and we'll respray it. Like I said, it's only the guard and the door that we found them little rust spots. I'm hoping, yeah, the cab and the rest of it is all going to be fine. So yeah, what do you have any sort of thoughts on it, Mark? Or
No, look, it's exactly as you said, Sam. Is that basically it's like, well, there's one way to look at it. If rust was ever going to come up from the metal and come to the surface, it's been about 12 months, or a little bit longer than 12 months since it was painted. I believe that if rust was going to come to the surface, it would have happened already. So they're the areas that we've kind of highlighted.
yeah,
Yeah, look, ideally, in the ideal world, yeah, you would bare metal the car again. But again, we all know the cost of like products and paints and time is a big thing too. Is that yeah, we'll fix what we find. Basically, we've ground back with a roll-lock the area which had the bubbles. We've eliminated that. It hasn't gone any further due to, it's pretty easy to see if it's rusting because we all know what rust looks like. I've feathered the repairs back a little bit. We are going to use a deoxidine, which is like a steel conditioner and rust treatment. We're going to do that process on these bare metal areas. We're going to put those areas back in epoxy primer. Due to us going back to bare metal in those areas, it has caused a low spot. So ideally what we're going to do is just put them in epoxy. Hopefully that is sandable pretty much tomorrow. So we're going to sand it. Just so we get adhesion. We're going to put our body filler on it, get it nice and straight, and then prime it. So you're probably wondering, all right, well, if you're going to be epoxy priming those small areas, how come you've masked up such a large area? That's simply because it's easy to just do some spot priming with epoxy, do some quick little repairs, and then prime it straight away. It's already all masked up ready.
Okay, so it's paint day today, so apologies, we've just been smashing out heaps of work, trying to get this all prepped, ready to paint. So there's been quite a little bit more work than what we first thought. We had to reprime this door, as you can see. Just found some issues, just mainly sort of on top of the door here. It was a few little ripples and stuff. There was yeah, it was a bit of a low, and just a couple little things on that door that we needed to fix up. So we ended up bare metaling it and then gave it a good skim of filler over the top, and yeah, got that nice and flat with some blocks. And yeah, we just done this guard as well. So yeah, we just got to rub this back this morning. The rest of it's all rubbed back. Just used an orbital sander with some 400 grit, and then I've gone over it with a scotchy and some of the scuff stuff. So it's like a gritty paste as well that you use with the Scotch Brite. as you can see, got the tonner into the booth. It was a bit of a stuff around to get it off the car trailer, but got it off the car trailer just by using some extra blocks and wooden stuff because it was bottoming out. Now, a big thanks to Flo Paint and Panel for the booth hire. These guys are out in Dandenong. If you are after a booth hire in Brisbane, then hit them up. I'll leave their details in the show notes. Now, as you can see, all the tonner is masked up, and we decided to do a bit of a doors open / door close respray. Obviously, it's not ideal. Mark did want to remove the doors, but we sort of talked about options, and I really didn't want to remove the doors, but the door jambs needed to be resprayed just due to the overspray from the first time it was sprayed. Now, understand that the finish isn't going to be the best around the sort of hinge area, as you can't really get in there very nicely. But yeah, Mark did say that, and he reckons that we could have got a sort of reasonable finish in there, like a 90% quality there compared to removing the doors. But I was happy to accept that. I just really didn't want to remove the doors and then have to re-gap. And then also the issue of transporting them, had to get the tonner back into the shed the next day, and obviously soft paint and the risk of scratching the doors and stuff, so it was just easier to leave them on. Now, as you can see here, got a bit of candy bleed through onto the white base coat, so that's the first coat, and yeah, sort of seen a bit of candy vortex where we'd rub through the clear, bleeding through to the white. Now, I'm not 100% up with it. Mark did explain it a lot better than me in his videos, so if you want to check out his videos of this respray, he does explain it a lot better. Ideally, we should have basically re-primed the whole car, any rub-throughs, yeah, primed it so we didn't have this issue, but yeah, due to Mark's expertise, he was able to rectify the issue in the booth, and it didn't become an issue. But yeah, like I said, the whole car should have been resprayed or re-primed, but yeah, obviously just extra issues we found on the car during the 4 days. We were really stretched for time, so we did have to cut a few corners there, but nonetheless we got it done. Okay, you can just see Mark laying on that yellow vortex, getting in the door jambs, getting underneath there. I think this is about the third or fourth coat, and it's already starting to look nice and silky and smooth. Now, Mark did end up spraying about 3 or 4 coats of the white base coat first, just to get it to a nice uniform, even base, to then start spraying the yellow vortex. So you can just see Mark has got the sunlight out, he's got the lights out in the booth, and he's just checking for any model or any coverage issues. So this light basically just replicates the sun and just highlights any coverage or model. So yeah, you can just see he's getting down nice and low, checking over the whole car for any issues there. And he did mention that the yellow vortex is relatively difficult to spray, so 10 being the most difficult, 0 being the easiest. He reckons it's about a 7.5. So just something to be aware of. You should be checking the car, getting down low with the sunlight. how good does that look? Nice and glassy off the gun using the custom clear. The base coat, it's nice and silky and smooth, there's no model in it. Yeah, just really happy with that finish of it. 100 times better than the first time it was painted, so yeah, really stoked on that. Here it is getting loaded up on the tow truck. I didn't want to risk using a car trailer. This was the next day. Obviously the paint is going to be soft the next day, so yeah, just thought it was going to be a lot safer using a tow truck. And yeah, here it is out in the sun. So got the tonner back home from the booth. Unfortunately the booth didn't have heat, so wasn't able to bake it, so I was a little bit concerned about transporting it back into the shed the next day, but thankfully the tow truck driver was able to back it up the driveway and we were able to lower the tonner directly into the shed. It was bloody tight, it was within millimeters, but yeah, big props to the tow truck driver for getting it up the driveway, and we were able to lower it directly into the shed in its final resting spot. And from there I'm just going to let it sit for a couple months just to really cure and harden up before I really touch anything. Whew, what an absolute slog the last 4 days has been. Mark and I are absolutely exhausted. Mark's gone back to Melbourne, and I think what I'm going to do is just rest up for the next couple of days and catch up on some sleep. I think on that Sunday when we painted it, we worked about 18 hours and that was running off about 3 hours sleep. So yeah, we really had to dig deep and we're running on fumes to get this thing painted, but yeah, got it painted in the end. So just want to say a big thanks to Mark for helping out, digging deep and putting in to get this thing painted. It was a roller coaster, there were some ups and downs, and there was things that we encountered along the way that we both weren't anticipating. And you probably noticed that the bonnet didn't get sprayed or the nose cone, which we'll do that in another episode in the future. So I do plan on getting Mark up again, and we'll get the bonnet, the nose cone and the tray all painted probably in the next episode or an episode in the future. I do want to mention Mark made a 4-part mini series on his YouTube channel on the respray, and it goes through probably a lot more in-depth things that we encountered along the way and a lot more sort of technical stuff than what I went through on the video. So I highly recommend checking out them videos. I'll put a link to Mark's YouTube channel, Bog Dust For Breakfast, and also DNA's YouTube channel as well. I'll put them in the show notes, so click on them links and they'll go to their YouTube channels. Also, I want to say a big thanks to Flo Paint and Panel in Brisbane here. So as I mentioned, if you are after a booth hire in Brisbane, then hit them up. Their details will be in the show notes also. So yeah, cheers for the booth hire. Also, if you like what I do and want to help support the channel, then hit that subscribe button. I'm coming up to 10,000 subscribers, so it'd mean a lot if you could hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on the video, leave a comment. If you have any comments about the paint job, the color, anything in general, just leave them in the comment section. I'm always reading the comments. And if you want to help support the channel even further, then head over to the Shenke Garage merch store. So there's various products on there, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. So yeah, click on the link in the show notes to head over to the merch store. And also, if you are new to the channel, I highly recommend checking out this build of the 1 tonner. So everything's documented on this build, and I'll put a card up in this corner here. So click on that card and it'll be the very first episode all the way to the latest, and have a binge on that. So yeah, we'll leave it with that and see you next time on Shenke Garage. Cheers guys.